Super Mario 64 Through the Ages is a ROM hack that only runs at 30 FPS, so I'm gonna have to give it a 0 out of 5. Super Mario 64 Through the Ages is an excellent showcase of the capability of ROM hacking and a phenomenally fun piece of work. It's always great to see a Kaze hack. This man has just been going absolutely berserk over the last few years. He's tearing open the source code of the game and re-optimizing the whole thing. He's getting it running at 60 FPS on a base N64 with graphical improvements like jet boots and gay tracing. He's got all the Yoshis, he knows what he's doing, and everything he makes is a pretty safe bet. As for Through the Ages itself, it's a 3/4 sized ROM hack with only roughly 90 stars, except it's very much a matter of quality over quantity. Everything you see is ROM hacking at its most ambitious thanks to remarkable variety and production value, and from what I understand, it actually took a couple of years to make. I remember seeing this Cleopatra model on Twitter back in 2020. This was like the ROM hack version of the T-Rex tech demo for the PS1. The theme of this hack, I guess, is pseudo-historical / fantasy / whatever the hell this is. That's the best way I can sum it up. Every single level is set in a mystical depiction of ancient scenarios, except for the ones that are not set in a mystical depiction of an ancient scenario. You got this volcanic tiki island, 20,000 leagues under the sea, Great Wall of China, ancient Egypt, Babylon, and of course, Dragon Ball Z planet where the Goombas are Piccolo and Waluigi turns into Mewtwo and you had to become Super Saiyan and kick his ass. King Babam is now a pirate king who launches bombs at you and you have to kick them back at him. That fight was awesome. You go to Olympus and fight Zeus because he stole your hat. Medusa is a pain in the ass because you gotta sneak past her without looking in her general direction, which means you have to do this funky jumping crap. There are so many completely original and unique boss fights in this game that go far beyond what the original game ever did, and that is one of the greatest achievements of this game. Not only are all the worlds completely outlandish and far more creative than usual on the visual end, but they also play differently as well. The water level has you walking at the bottom of the ocean dressed like the Cyclops from the SpongeBob movie. Dragon Ball World lets you fly anywhere except without the horrible flying squirrel controls of the wing cap. There's an Indiana Jones chase sequence. Even though it is still Super Mario 64 at its most fundamental, there is a remarkable amount of ambitious variety that isn't there in most ROM hacks. Also, the Pink Panther is in this game. I don't really know what the significance of that is. That's not a piece of the lore I'm privy to, but he's there. Through the Ages feels like an experimental game, not just from the standpoint of scenario and world building, but also gameplay, which is to say that you can use Pokemon. You can use the stars to buy Pokemon who all have their own moves, and you can use those moves to get around. One of my favorites is Magnemite, who can just attract coins from all over the place. Onyx can serve as a platform, Golem can blow things up, Gyarados can swim like Nessie. I picture this game lending itself very well to speedrunning with all the crazy shit you can do. In a game like Super Mario 64, which is already a paradise for player expression and experimentation, adding Pokemon to the mix is like caramel frosting on a big-ass Mario cake. I wouldn't be surprised if people just go absolutely hog wild on this game. There are some quality of life improvements, most notably that the game saves your position every time you come to a stop, and whenever you fall off a cliff, instead of killing you, it puts you back at those coordinates. Some people might think that makes the game too easy, but in my opinion, when you make a mistake like falling off a cliff suddenly become far less punishing, the level design becomes far more open to experimentation because it doesn't feel like an absolute dick punch when you miscalculate a jump. There's this auto-rotate camera feature, which I'm guessing was intended for the more casual audiences that don't really jive with controlling both Mario and the camera simultaneously. But Mario 64 veterans are probably not gonna like it very much. I know I didn't, so thankfully you can turn it off in the pause menu. Another thing that only kinda works is the C buttons. The way it works in the base game is that you tap the button to rotate the camera by 45 degrees. In this game, you can hold the button to rotate the camera more slowly, but there's still the option to tap the button, and these two things don't always mix very well. Then there's the presentation. Graphically, there have been better looking games from the Kaze minds, but this is still a spectacular looking piece of work, and it runs laps around the vanilla game. As expected, there are heavily revamped textures and character models, there are all new assets with a new level of interactivity and animation, enemy designs are tweaked to fit the respective setting. I feel like every ROMhack I know has the sand level and the grass level and the water level and the fire level and the cement level. But this is one of the few ROMhacks where those levels feel like actual places rather than just a broad theme for a bunch of platforming obstacles. I especially love the sand lion guy from Aladdin. Scared the shit out of me actually. I also love the little effect where if there's an object between Mario and the camera, Mario turns into a shadow that displays over top of the object, kinda like Super Mario Sunshine. I always enjoyed that effect, not just because it looks cool, but it also helps the playability because you don't have to dick around with the camera. On top of that, this hack also has an excellent soundtrack, although it is debatably cheating because they're just MP3 rips, but at the very least, the choices themselves are very good. The Indiana Jones part used what sounds like the actual John Williams soundtrack, which I probably can't play here, but the other music choices are excellent. It is worth noting that there were a couple of graphical bugs in my playthrough, which very well may have been a result of the plugins I was using. I understand that Project 64 2.3 is a bit of a weird shitbox, but for some odd reason, I can't get my controller to work with 1.6, so I'm kinda hosed. The game also crashed on me a number of times, which may well have been for the same reasons, but I cannot say. But whatever the case may be, Through the Ages is one of the most ambitious hacks I've seen in a while. There is a ridiculous amount of variety, and the worlds breathe imagination and authenticity. It's a game with a lot of interesting and weird decisions, but it all works anyway. And it ends on such a ridiculously hilarious note that I don't want to completely spoil right now, but you'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. And on top of that, it's also a very manageable game from the standpoint of difficulty, meaning you'll never have any moments where you feel stuck and incapable of progressing. Until Tangela decides to stop working right. Do yourself a favor and go play this shit right now.